What's up, guys? Eric Ray, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Wednesday, November the 2nd. Missed some days over the weekend, put my back out, and had to take a few days off, but did just get off the water today. Bite's still a little bit tough, but we are catching a few fish, doing a few things. As far as our lake level, we are at 909.6, which is basically 7.5 feet low. Calling for rain again this weekend. Hopefully it's enough rain to put some water in the lake, unlike the last rain, but we'll wait and see on that. Water temperature, it was 65 everywhere I went today. So the water temperature is dropping. We are getting down to where we want it to be, but the fish really haven't started to move and gang up like we want them to. Best way to know what's going on, best way to have that information at your fingertips on a daily basis. Join Table Rock Fishing Intel and get all the daily reports, the weekly reports, all the video stuff that we're putting out there, so you can know before you go to the lake how we're catching fish on Table Rock. But if you're coming down, going to fish the lower end of the lake, couple of bites going on, things really have not changed a whole lot. Lower end continues to be tough. Early in the morning, you can catch a few on either a peewee or a heavy cover football jig. Most of those fish are going to be on gravel and rock mix points. Anywhere from about 18 to about 25 foot deep. That bite lasts until about 9:30, 10 o'clock at the latest. And if you do yourself a favor and kind of chase the shade a little bit, you can prolong that just a little bit. But really, once the sun gets up and gets on top of the water, if you don't have any wind or any cloud cover, that bite really starts to wane. The other bite that's working down there right now, of course, is a drop shot rig with either a shad shape or a cut tail or Chomper's drop shot worm or UV drop shot worm. Just like in the past, or like we've been talking about for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've got to find some cover to get bit, whether it be treetops or rock piles or brush piles on points. Most of the fish I'm catching are in that 25 to 35 foot range, some of them a little bit deeper, but most of them 25 to 35, but they've got to be around cover. I got to have a rock pile, a brush pile, or some standing timber, or a dock in order to get bit on the drop shot rig right now. Going to mid-lake, same sort of deal going on. That football jig bite does hang on a little bit longer there. You can certainly catch them on a peewee football jig, a heavy cover football jig, on those long gravel rock and gravel mixed rock points. Again, most of that's 18 to 25 foot deep. Bite hangs on a little bit longer. You can pretty much do it all day. It's much better early and late in the day than it is once the sun comes up in the afternoon. That bite will hold on though. If you've got some wind and you've got a little bit of cloud cover, you can certainly catch more fish doing that throughout the day. Drop shot bite is working there as well. I'm catching a few on a drop shot. Same sort of deal on gravel points with either a rock pile or a brush pile or some trees or a dock or something on it. Some sort of cover will hold those fish with a drop shot and either a shad shape, cut tail, UV drop shot worm. Was in the mid-lake today and caught a few on the scope spin. I don't know if you've seen the new Jewel scope spin, but it's kind of blown up since they introduced it yesterday. Those fish are, again, they're relating to cover. The fish I caught today, everything was relating to cover, mostly in treetops, and most of those fish were about 25 to 35 feet down. I did have a couple on that were down about 50 feet, but those fish have been relating to cover as well. So even the scope spin, I've got to get it around cover or get it around shad. That bite's definitely going to improve as the shad start to group up and we start to get bigger schools of shad. Most of the schools I'm seeing right now have been fairly small, about the size of a Volkswagen, maybe up to about the size of a pickup, not the great big monster balls of shad we're looking for. Go up into the James. Jig bite is king up the James right now. You can catch a few on a crankbait as well, but right now the jig bite's been best. Either the peewee football jig, heavy cover football jig, catching a few on a pro spider jig, and catching some on a shaky head as well, the pro shaky head that Jewel makes as well. Most of those fish, again, are coming out of some sort of cover, whether it be a rock pile, whether it be a brush pile or around docks. That's where most of those fish are coming from. And most of them are, I'm going to say, relatively shallow, 10 to about 18 foot deep seems to be the magic depth range. Seems like they're a little bit shallower the further up you go. We can certainly catch them doing that. You can catch a few on a crankbait as well. Square bill bite's kind of slowing down, but we have been catching a few on a square bill, a few on a jackhammer, on those around cover on flats, and everything seems to be relating to flats right now. The ends of those channel swings where you have a flat or even a flat pocket seems to be holding 2 or 3 good fish. So keep that in mind if you're going to go up the James this week. Up the White River, you know, I was up the White last week from about Baxter to almost to Shell Knob. Bite's very similar to what it is in the mid-lake. I haven't made it above Shell Knob in a little while, but you can catch them on a peewee football jig, catch them on a heavy cover football jig, or on a spider jig out on those gravel and rock mix points, 18 to about 25 foot deep. Slide out a little bit deeper. You can still keep that bite going throughout the day. You just got to go a little bit deeper, and you got to find a little bit of cover. Rock piles, brush piles, anything on those points is going to hold a few more fish than if you're just throwing on a barren point. Drop shot bite's been pretty good up there as well, either with a shad-shaped cut tail or UV drop shot worm. Catching a lot of those fish around brush piles, around rocks, around docks, and around treetops there. 25 to 35 seems to be the magic depth there. And then the scope spin. Threw a scope spin up there last week and had a pretty good day on the scope spin up there. A lot of fish suspended over top of trees, chasing shad. And really the key to that scope spin for me so far has been finding the fish around shad. If the fish are chasing shad, or if you have a good group of fish, if the fish are grouped up, I can get a lot more bites. If I'm targeting 1 or 2 fish, it seems to be a lot harder to get those fish to commit and bite it. They'll follow the heck out of it, but getting them to eat it, I got to either have shad or I've got to have a group of fish, 3 or 4 fish versus 1 or 2 fish. So keep that in mind. Most of those scope spin fish I was catching last week were about 20 to about 25 foot deep over top of whatever. It didn't matter. I caught a few over 100 foot deep. Overall depth doesn't matter. It's just where the shad are and where the fish are. And that's the beauty of throwing that scope spin. If they're 20 feet deep, give it a 10 count, and you can just swim it and just keep it right at that depth and just kind of lift and drop and lift and drop, and that's when you're going to get your bites on the scope spin. Guys, we are finally in November. Could use some cooler weather. It's about 75 degrees right now, which is kind of odd for November. I know the deer hunters aren't digging it either. Would really like to see this water temperature drop about another 10 degrees, and I really think that's going to get our shad grouped up and get our fish grouped up a lot better here over the next couple of weeks. We just need a little bit cold weather, a little bit cold rain would really help. But definitely the bite is starting to turn on, starting to see these fish moving quite a bit, and things are getting better. Best way to know what's going on, join Table Rock Fishing Intel and become a pro member and get all that information on a daily basis of how and where we're catching these fish. But if you're coming down, want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Guys, thanks for watching the video. Again, check out Table Rock Fishing Intel if you haven't done so, but thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.